What is up, YouTube? This is Kellen coming to you from the Bahamas. We're here in Nassau, where I had the pleasure of working with a customer that lives here in the Bahamas to create his ultimate home theater in this unusual room. We made the best of it, and the customer is super excited. So come along, we're gonna do a video overview of the Bahamas Theater. So when the customer first reached out to us, he had an upstairs room not being utilized, and he found the perfect place for this home to have his home theater. So he reached out to us and worked with me directly. He was one of our Dreamedia Plus customers. He had a less than ideal room, but you know, there were some obstacles to overcome and challenges, but we ultimately made the best of it. The customer is extremely interested in Perlisten. So behind us we have a 726 Dolby Atmos system driven by a Trinnov Altitude 16 audio processor and being powered by the Trinnov Amplitude 16 amplifier. We're just using the XLRF DB to DB connectors there, so it's a very simple setup and plug and play process in terms of not having to use 16 to 18 different XLR cables. So it's a very clean setup. We have a salamander cabinet in the back that's housing all of his equipment. The sources that we're using in the room, you can see, I'm sure, some wallpaper behind me here. It's an Apple TV. We're also using a customer-owned media device that he uses here locally in the Bahamas. And then we have Kaleidescape. Okay, his dad has a server back in the States, so they're able to obtain and look at content that way. Going into the speakers, we have two of the Ebony Gloss S7Ts. This is a tower speaker from Perlisten. It is their flagship tower speaker. Next, we have a matching center channel. It's the Ebony Gloss S7C. And then furthermore, we have two pair of S4Ss. This is their surround speaker. It has kind of like a wedge type of shape. It can either be mounted on ceiling or on wall. Customer is using these for his side surrounds and rear surrounds mounted on wall. At the time that we were coming up with a ultimate solution for his home theater, Perlisten did not technically have in ceilings, nor did they have them announced yet. So we went with what I believed at the time would be the next best thing to match the beryllium profile of the S-series Perlisten speakers. We chose to go with the Focal 1000 series in-ceiling speakers. I know we'll probably get bashed for that online or in the comments, but that is the reason why we chose to go this route, is because they technically weren't announced yet, nor were they on the market. So again, just trying to find the flavor profile that matched the Perlisten beryllium, trying to match materials to timber match them the best that we can and EQ it out in the Trinnov. Furthermore, the customer is using one of the 25, that's right. So he's using the JVC 25th anniversary, and it uses the best parts and the top percentage of parts down to the chips, the glass. They only made 25 of these units, and it was specifically calibrated for his Stewart film screen StudioTech 130 G4. This is a 140 16:9 aspect ratio, and the projector was professionally calibrated by Chris Deering. One thing that I did not touch on when going over the speakers is that he is using also the two of the Perlisten D215s. So this is proprietary Perlisten subwoofer using their push-pull subwoofer tech. It's their D series, so it is their flagship. This is top of the line Perlisten audio gear, and it sounds tremendous for the space. And then lastly, we are using some of the customers' favorite items. This is the Jamar loungers. So this is the similar to what I have personally in my own theater. I think I talked him into them a little bit. These are super comfortable. They're the extra wide ones as well. So, you know, it's pretty much big enough for 2 people if you wanted to. They're extremely comfortable. They practically lay flat. They do have a kind of built-in chase. So this is an extremely comfortable chair. I harp on these all the time in my own theater. It's always a fight for the front row at home. And he says the same thing here. People love and gravitate towards these seats. He says that he can come up here and have a siesta anytime that he wants. So this is the Jamar extra wide loungers from Jamar Furniture. If you're not familiar with Jamar, we are going to do a separate video kind of going through more of the Jamar furniture themselves and what makes them unique. So when it came to building out the room, I helped the customer along the way, helping him identify the correct speaker locations. As we pan around the room, we can see different obstacles that we had to overcome. He didn't really have a perfectly symmetrical room. We kind of have this wing that jets out over to the left-hand side. We have some supports that are structurally there to help support the home itself. So we were somewhat limited on speaker locations, especially for our side surrounds and rear surrounds. Rear surrounds were made do, mounting them to the rear wall. The side surrounds were kind of makeshift the best way. They're a little bit behind the seating area, but we really wanted to emphasize the viewing angle of the screen, given the limited height in the room for the screen. And overall, we had enough ceiling space, but one thing that we really didn't want to do is have to move his HVAC duct. So there's a really thin profile above the screen that his air conditioning is coming through. We wanted to keep the room cool up here, being on the 3rd floor of this beautiful home here in the Bahamas. So it does get a little warm up here. That's why we need to keep the air conditioner running. And just to really the logistics on moving all of that was going to be a huge undertaking financially, and just from a logistics standpoint, getting it done properly was really going to set this room and whole project back even further. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up today's video here in Nassau, Bahamas. What did you guys think of this theater? Let us know in the comments down below. If you would like to learn more about the equipment or have questions or would like to build your ultimate home theater, feel free to reach out at dreamemediaav.com or give us a call. We would love the opportunity to earn your business and to discuss these options with you further. Again, this is Kellen, wrapping things up here in the beautiful Bahamas. We'll catch you in the next video.